So have you ever added CSS to your website, but your website still look messy? Maybe elements were too close together, or text touches the edge, or spacing felt wrong. These are things that can make your website looks messy even when you have added CSS to it. Now there's a confusion there, and this confusion usually comes from not understanding the CSS box model. And today we are going to change that. Welcome back. If you have been following every lesson and practicing consistently, you are building a very strong front end foundation. And today we are going to be learning one of the most important concepts in all of CSS. Now let's start by understanding what box model is. What is box model? You see, in CSS, every HTML element is treated like a box. Maybe the headings, paragraphs, image, buttons, the divs, all of them are treated like a box in CSS. And if you understand this box model, you are going to understand how layout works. Now, let me show you an image here to explain what this box model is. Now, look at this image right here. You're going to understand that this is the content, maybe your H1 or your paragraph or your div, but the content in here is your content. Now, just like I've explained to you, these HTML elements have four main parts, which are all these parts I just showed you here. These are the main parts that every HTML element have. And we are going to start taking them one by one so that we'll be able to understand it. We have the content area. This content area is the actual content inside the element. Just like I've explained to you, is the actual content inside the element, maybe your text, your image, your video, your hello world, or we can even do a simple HTML so that you will see it. This is the content. For example, okay, let's do that. I believe you all have started your server. We are no longer new into this. We all should know how to do that. So this is my server that I've started here. I'm just going to leave this the way they are. Let me clear this. This is what we did previously. So I'm just going to clear it. Let me close this. And I'm going to keep this empty. And let me just put a simple hello here. Now, this hello now is treated as this hello now is an HTML element and it have box around it. Now, I'm just going to right click and I'm going to click inspect. Inspect. Don't forget inspect. So when I come to my inspect here, let me open this properly. You are going to see that the element here now is treated like a box. You can see when I hover to my content, you can see the content now is showing blue. When I move to padding, you can see the padding is around it, the border also around it, the margin is the outer part of it. This is just how every element in HTML is treated, like a box. The padding here creates space inside the element. That's what the padding do between the content and the border. You can see this is the border, this is the border, this is the content, and the padding is between the content and the border. And we are going to be doing example. Let me also be doing example so that you'll be seeing it. Let's target this H1 element here so that we'll be going together and we'll be understanding what we are doing. Now, the first thing I want to target here is let me give the class name. Let me just I'm going to give you the class name here. So I believe you all know about this, and I'm going to call it box. We all have been doing this, so it's no longer something new to us again. Now I'm here now. Instead of targeting the H1, I'm just going to target the box. Now, so you can see I've targeted the box. Now the first one I want to do here is let me give it a background color, just so that we'll see the difference. We'll be understanding everything. Let me give the background color of light blue, just like that. Let me close this first. Okay, I want to believe that. Okay, sorry, I didn't target it properly. I have to put dot box. Remember, when we are targeting a class, dot here represents class. All right, this should be class, not class name. When we get to, maybe when I introduce you to Tailwind CSS, you are going to see the reason why I got confused a little bit here. It's class. For vanilla CSS, we just do class and target like that. But when we get to using something like Tailwind CSS or Bootstrap, what we are going to be calling it is class name. But for now, it's just class. Now, I've changed my background color to light blue. I can see now that What is taking this light blue is just the content. Now, let me add a padding to it. If you remember, I explained padding to you here. You can see I explained padding to you here. I say padding is between the content and the border, which you see border here, you see the content here, and padding is in their center. You can see. So let's add padding here so that we see it. So I'm just going to say padding. I'll say 20 pixels. Look at what just happened. The content here increased. There's a lot. The space here increased. Now, if you hover to this is my content. Entirely everything is my content. This is the padding. This is the margin. This is the border, and this is the margin. Now, if you notice this, the text move away from the edge. You move away from just the content edge into adding more space, giving it some breathing space. Let me just do it like this. You can see now that it went back, but the padding now added some space around everything. We can do different things. We can do padding left, so we can target only the left side. We can also do padding right or padding top or padding bottom. But if we didn't specify all that, or we just do padding here, we are targeting the padding around it to entirely. That's what we are targeting. The padding, we are targeting everything around it entirely. Now we are going to move into border. A border creates a visible line around an element. Let's do that together. I'm just going to come here and I'll say border. And my border here, I'll just say 3 pixels. And okay, now one thing about border is that you have to add a color to it. So I'll say 3 pixels, then I'll put dashed red. Right? Let me just use this color. You can see. Now what I did here is that I added a border here. You can see the border I'm talking about. And I said dash. Don't get you confused. This dash is just the way, if I didn't specify dash or instead of dash and I say solid, you can see now that it's just solid red around it. But the dash I did make it to have some dash, make the line not to be straight, not to be solid. You just make it dash. That's different things you can do with its border when doing border. So you can see I can also even do dots. It's not just dash. I can also do something like dots. I can say dotted for it to be dots, just like this. I can see how it is similar to dash, but this one is not dash. This one is dots. So different thing. Let me just leave it like this. So this is what the border is doing. Border helps developers see layout clearly. With border now, we are seeing this layout very clearly. If I remove this border, you can see, look at the way it's just it. But if I put back this border, it creates a line around the content. That's just what this border is used for. We use border to create a line around the content. If you can explore it more, you can increase the size if you want. You can see that's messy. Oh, let me just leave it like that. You can see we can increase the line if you want. The 3 pixels I use here is just to specify the size that I want. Now let's move on to margin. Margin is where confusion disappears. Now the margin creates space outside the element. We are going to do a little bit example about this margin. Let me just add a margin 20 pixels. Margin just like this. You can see it here. And let me say 20 pixels. Now look at what is happening here. The margin creates a space outside of this element. Outside here, that's where the margin is being applied. Let me close this. Let's see this together. If I close this now, you can see the way the space is. But if I open it back, the margin creates a space outside here. Outside here, that's where the margin is being applied. Just like what I showed you in the inspect, this is the content. The padding is after the content. Then the margin, which is this line. Then the padding is outside the content. That's just the box model. I'm trying to explain to you guys. So that's just what all this box model is all about. Now, don't get yourself confused. For an example, maybe you have 2 elements here and you want to space them. Maybe you have something like this. Maybe you have something like this. You want to add space to them. Some developers always mistake themselves is using padding and margin in the same situation. Now, don't get yourself confused. Know the difference. Margin is outside, is the space outside the element, outside the content, whilst padding is the space inside the content. That's the two different you need to understand. Margin is outside and padding is inside. Don't get yourself confused. Just understand that. Now, I want to also show you another one. which I believe you should have a basic idea of already. You should have a basic idea of it already. I'm just going to clear this. Now, I just want to introduce you. I just want to show you width and height. Now, width here controls horizontal size, while the height here controls the vertical size. Let's just do an example of that. I can say width 30 pixels. You can see you can see what happened to this color. We reduce the width of the content. You can see if I say height 150 pixels, you can see now that I increase the height of the content. That's just what width and height is doing. It's all about. Width here controls the horizontal size of the box, while height here controls the vertical size of the box. Those are just what you need to understand about CSS box model. And I don't think it's not necessary for us to do any mini projects here, just like we have been doing in every at the end of every section. But I don't think it's necessary. It's not necessary for us to do a mini project here. It's just a simple explanation that you should understand. When we come into our project at the end of this CSS lesson, we are going to build a project using just HTML and CSS, a very beautiful website that we're going to build with it. So we are not going to do a mini project here. We're just going to skip to the next lesson. Now, in the next video, we will go even deeper into layout and positioning. You are going to learn display. You are going to learn inline versus block behavior. You are going to learn the width control. You are going to learn model layout thinking. The next video, we are going to be going into positioning in CSS. How we can position content to be wherever we are. Just imagine this hello world. You want it to be here. How we can position it to be here, or you want it to be at this ending side. How we can position it to be there. That's what we are going to be doing in our next class, CSS positioning, for you to be able to position your element wherever you want it to be in your website. That's what we'll be doing in our next lesson, and I will see you in the next lesson.